People in my village used to say the same thing about her. She never complains. Her name was Aina. She was 17, with soft brown eyes and a quiet smile. She was beautiful, but not in a loud way. Her beauty was calm, gentle, like the sky before sunset. Aina lived in a small wooden house at the end of a narrow road. The paint on the walls was peeling. The roof leaked when it rained, but she never complained. Every morning she woke up at 4:30 a.m. While other girls her age were still sleeping, Aina was already in the kitchen. She boiled water. She cooked rice. She fried eggs. The smell of simple breakfast filled the house. Her father used to work as a mechanic, but after the accident, he could not walk properly. He stayed home most days, sitting near the window, staring outside. Her mother worked long hours at a small food stall in town, so Aina became the quiet helper of the house. After cooking, she prepared her father's medicine. She helped him sit up. She smiled at him and said, "Good morning, Aya." Even when she was tired, even when her back hurt, she never complained. At school, Aina was different from the other girls. She did not wear new shoes. Her bag was old and slightly torn at the side. Some students noticed. Some whispered. A few laughed. "Why don't you just buy a new one?" One girl once asked loudly. Aina simply smiled. "This one still works." That was her answer to everything. This one still works. When her classmates talked about vacations, about new phones, about birthday parties in fancy cafes, Aina stayed quiet. She listened, she nodded, she smiled. But she never complained. No one knew that after school she did not go home to rest. She went to a small grocery shop nearby. She worked there from 4 p.m. until 9 p.m., arranging items on shelves and cleaning the floor. Her hands were always dry from soap and water. Her feet always ached at night. But when the shop owner asked, "Are you okay, Aina?" she would answer, "Yes, I'm okay." And she meant it, or at least she wanted to believe she did. One evening, heavy rain poured from the sky. The road outside the shop was flooded. The wind was strong. The electricity went out. The shop owner told her, "You can go home early today." But Aina stayed. "It's okay. I can help clean first," she said. She mopped the wet floor. She stacked the boxes. She worked quietly in the dark, using only her phone light. When she finally walked home, the rain had slowed down. Her clothes were wet. Her shoes were soaked. She was cold. But when she opened the door and saw her father asleep peacefully on the chair, a small blanket covering his legs, she smiled again. She took another blanket and covered him properly. Then she sat on the floor, leaning against the wall. For a moment, her smile slowly disappeared. Her eyes looked tired. Not just physically tired, deep tired. She closed her eyes, and for the first time that day, a single tear rolled down her cheek. But when her mother came home and asked softly, "Aina, are you tired?" she quickly wiped her face and smiled. "No, Mama, I'm fine." Because Aina was the girl who never complained, and no one ever asked what it cost her to be that strong. The next morning, Aina woke up before her alarm rang. Her body felt heavy. Her eyes burned from lack of sleep. But she pushed herself up from the thin mattress on the floor. The house was still dark and quiet. She walked to the kitchen and started the same routine again. Wash the rice, boil the water, prepare the medicine, sweep the floor. Outside, the sky slowly turned from black to soft blue. Inside, Aina moved like she always did, quiet and careful. Her father coughed from the living room. She quickly brought him water. "Did you sleep well, Aya?" she asked gently. He nodded. "You should sleep more, Aina. You do too much." She smiled. "I'm strong." But she didn't feel strong. At school that day, something unexpected happened. The teacher announced a school trip. 3 days and 2 nights at a beautiful beach resort. Everyone cheered loudly. The classroom filled with excitement. "Bring the permission slip tomorrow," the teacher said happily. "And the payment, too." Aina felt her heart sink. She knew how much it would cost. She knew it was impossible. Her best friend Sophia turned to her. "You're coming, right? It's going to be so fun." Aina forced a smile. "Maybe." But she already knew her answer. After school, she did not go straight to work. She went home first. Her mother was sitting at the small table, counting money from the food stall. The bills were on the table, too. Electricity, water, groceries. Her mother looked tired, more tired than usual. "Aina," her mother said softly. "The hospital called. Your father needs another checkup next month." Aina nodded slowly. "How much will it cost?" she asked. Her mother mentioned the amount. It was more than the school trip. Much more. Aina swallowed the tight feeling in her throat. "It's okay, Mama. We'll manage." Her mother looked at her carefully. "Your school trip, you wanted to go, right?" Aina quickly shook her head. "No, I don't really like beaches." It was a lie. She had always loved the sea. The sound of waves, the feeling of sand between her toes. But dreams were expensive, and hospital bills were more important. That night at work, Aina moved more slowly than usual. She almost dropped a box while arranging cans on the shelf. The shop owner noticed. "Aina, you look pale. Are you sure you're okay?" She nodded again. "Just a little tired." He paused, then said, "You don't have to carry everything alone, you know." She didn't answer, because she didn't know how to explain that carrying everything alone was the only choice she felt she had. When she reached home, she saw the permission slip on her desk. She stared at it for a long time. Her classmates were probably already planning what to pack, what to wear, what photos to take. Slowly, she folded the paper. Then she placed it inside a drawer. She told herself it didn't matter. She told herself she was used to missing out. But when she lay down to sleep, staring at the ceiling, she whispered something she had never said out loud before. "I'm tired." The room was silent. No one heard her. The next day at school, Sophia ran toward her. "Where's your payment? I can't wait to share a room with you." Aina took a deep breath. "I'm not going," she said softly. Sophia's smile faded. "Why?" Aina shrugged lightly. "I just don't feel like it." She said it so calmly, so casually. No anger, no sadness, no complaint. Just a small, peaceful smile. But inside her chest, something felt heavy. Heavier than school bags. Heavier than grocery boxes. Heavier than silence. And still, she walked through the day like nothing was wrong. Because Aina was the girl who never complained, even when her heart quietly did. The week of the school trip finally arrived. The classroom felt empty without half the students. Laughter and noise were gone. Only a few desks were filled. Aina sat by the window. The sky was bright and blue that morning. Perfect weather for the beach. She imagined her classmates running on the sand, taking pictures, laughing without worries. For a second, her chest felt tight again, but she quickly looked down at her notebook and focused on her work. This was her choice, she reminded herself. After school, she rushed to the grocery shop as usual. But that evening was different. The shop owner looked stressed. "Aina, my wife is sick. I need to close early and take her to the clinic," he said. "Can you manage alone for an hour? I'll come back quickly." Aina nodded. Of course. She had handled many things before. 1 hour alone in a small shop was nothing. Or so she thought. About 30 minutes later, a group of teenage boys walked in. They were loud and careless. They knocked over a small display near the entrance and laughed. Aina quickly walked over. "It's okay," she said softly. "I'll fix it." One of the boys looked at her and smirked. "Why are you always so serious? Smile a little." She forced a small smile, just to avoid trouble. They continued walking around, touching things, opening snack packages without paying. When Aina politely reminded them to pay first, they ignored her. Her heart started beating fast. She wasn't afraid of hard work, but she didn't like confrontation. "Please," she said again, her voice slightly shaking. "You have to pay before opening that." One boy stepped closer. "What if we don't?" For a moment, Aina felt small. Very small. But then she thought of her father. Her mother. The hospital bills. She straightened her back. "Then I will call the owner," she said quietly. Her voice was calm, but her hands were trembling. The boys laughed again, but they finally threw some money on the counter and left. When the door closed behind them, Aina let out a long breath she didn't realize she was holding. Her legs felt weak. She walked to the back of the shop and sat on a small stool. Her hands were shaking badly now. She pressed them together to stop the trembling. "Why am I like this?" she whispered. She was strong at home, strong at school, strong at work. But in that moment, she felt fragile. Tears filled her eyes again. She tried to blink them away. But this time they didn't stop. The tears fell fast and heavy. She covered her mouth with her hand so no one could hear her sob. All the tiredness, all the silent sacrifices, all the missed chances. Everything poured out at once. "I'm tired of being strong," she whispered through her tears. For the first time, she allowed herself to say it clearly. No smile, no pretending, just honesty. After a few minutes, she wiped her face quickly when she heard the shop door open. The owner was back. He looked at her carefully. "Are you okay?" Aina opened her mouth to say the usual words. "Yes, I'm okay," but the words felt stuck in her throat. She hesitated, just for a second, and in that second, the owner saw her red eyes. "Aina," he said gently, "you don't always have to say you're fine." Her heart felt like it cracked open. No one had ever said that to her before. She looked down at the floor, and slowly, in a voice almost too soft to hear, she said something different. "I'm not okay." It was the first time she admitted it, and it scared her. Because if she wasn't the girl who never complained, then who was she? When Aina said, "I'm not okay," the words felt strange in her mouth, like a language she had never spoken before. The shop owner did not look angry. He did not look disappointed. He only looked kind. He pulled a chair and sat across from her. "What happened?" he asked gently. At first, Aina didn't know where to begin. How do you explain years of silence? How do you explain always choosing others first? She stared at her hands. "I just feel tired," she said slowly. "Tired of being strong all the time." The owner nodded. He did not interrupt. So she continued. She talked about the school trip she couldn't join, about the hospital bills, about waking up early and sleeping late, about smiling when she wanted to cry. The words came out in pieces, broken, but honest. When she finished, she felt embarrassed. "I'm sorry," she said quickly. "I shouldn't complain." The owner shook his head. "This is not complaining," he said. "This is being human." Being human. The words stayed in her heart. That night, he closed the shop early. "You've done enough," he told her. "Go home and rest." When Aina walked back, the air felt cooler, lighter. At home, her mother was waiting at the table. "You're early," her mother said, surprised. Aina nodded. She stood there for a moment, thinking. Then she sat down across from her mother. "Mama," she said softly. Her mother looked up. "I'm tired." The room went quiet. Her mother's eyes widened slightly. Aina had never said that before. "I'm trying my best," Aina continued, her voice shaking. "But sometimes I feel like I can't breathe." Tears filled her mother's eyes immediately. "Oh, Aina," she whispered. She reached across the table and held her daughter's hands. "You don't have to carry everything alone," her mother said. "You're still my child." Aina's tears fell again, but this time they felt different. Not heavy, not hopeless, just real. Her father, who had been listening from the living room, slowly spoke. "We are proud of you," he said, "but we never wanted you to suffer quietly." Aina realized something important in that moment. She thought being strong meant never showing weakness. She thought love meant sacrifice without limits. But maybe real strength was knowing when to speak. The next week, something unexpected happened. Her teacher called her after class. "I heard you didn't join the trip," the teacher said gently. "Is everything okay at home?" Aina hesitated. Then she remembered the shop owner's words. "This is being human." She nodded slowly. "Things are a little difficult." The teacher smiled softly. "There's a student support fund. We can help with some expenses. And if you ever need to talk, my door is open." Aina felt her chest tighten again. But this time it wasn't from pressure. It was from relief. For the first time, she realized something powerful. People could not help her if they didn't know she needed help. And maybe, just maybe, the girl who never complained didn't have to disappear. She just needed to learn how to speak. And Aina was finally learning. But she didn't know that soon. She would face the biggest test of her life. And this time, staying silent would not be the answer. Life did not suddenly become easy for Aina. The bills were still there. Her father still needed treatment. Her mother still worked long hours. But something inside Aina had changed. She no longer carried everything in silence. One evening, about a month later, her father collapsed at home. It happened so fast. One moment he was sitting on the chair near the window. The next moment he was on the floor. "Aya!" Aina screamed. Her hands were shaking as she called for an ambulance. Her mother was crying. The house felt small and suffocating. At the hospital, the white walls felt cold. The waiting room felt endless. Aina sat between her parents' bags, staring at the floor. Old Aina would have stayed quiet. Old Aina would have smiled and said, "It's okay." But not this time. When the nurse asked, "Are you family?" Aina looked up with red eyes and said clearly, "Yes, he's my father. Please tell me what's happening." Her voice trembled, but she did not hide it. After hours of waiting, the doctor finally came out. Her father needed surgery. The cost was high. Very high. Her mother looked like she might faint. Aina felt fear rise inside her chest. But she took her mother's hand. "We will figure this out," she said, not pretending, not denying the fear, just facing it. The next few days were the hardest of her life. She spoke to her teacher. She spoke to the shop owner. She spoke to neighbors. She explained their situation honestly. It was not easy. Asking for help felt uncomfortable. But staying silent would have been worse. Something beautiful happened. The teacher helped organize a small fundraiser at school. The shop owner placed a donation box near the counter. Neighbors brought food and small envelopes with money inside. No one judged her. No one laughed. Instead, they supported her. And Aina finally understood something important. People did not see her as weak. They saw her as brave. The surgery was successful. Her father survived. Recovery would take time, but he was alive. The day he came home from the hospital, Aina stood at the doorway holding back tears. Her father looked at her and smiled weakly. "You saved me," he whispered. Aina shook her head. "No," she said softly. "We saved each other." That night, she sat outside the house looking at the stars. The air was quiet, peaceful. She thought about the girl she used to be. The girl who believed that strength meant silence. The girl who thought complaining was weakness. She smiled gently. She was still kind, still hardworking, still strong. But now she was something more. She was honest. She allowed herself to say, "I'm tired. I'm scared. I need help." And because of that, she did not break. Years later, people in the village still talked about her, but they no longer said, "She never complains." They said something different. "She is strong." Not because she suffered quietly, but because she chose to live honestly. Because she chose to speak. Because she chose to let others stand beside her. Aina was never meant to be the girl who never complained. She was meant to be the girl who learned that her voice mattered. And that was her real strength.